G'day and welcome to the second video in our series of the Stramit Bridging. In this video I'm going to demonstrate how to install the Stramit Bridging in one possible way, called up the slope. Some areas of Australia prefer to install up the slope, while other areas prefer to install it down the slope. The direction of installation will need to be established at the design stage before procurement, as the starting and finishing components are different. In part 3 of this video series I'll demonstrate the down the slope method, but for now let's look at up the slope method. With up the slope we begin at the bottom of the purlin run. This is our fascia purlin and here's the first intermediate purlin. I'm going to start by installing the fascia bridging. We're going up the slope and the simple rule is that the locator prongs are always pointing in the direction that we're installing. So this fascia bridging has a locator on one end. Now you'll notice that on this roof we're using Z purlins and the top flange is pointing up the slope to maximize their performance. I'll maneuver the bridging in between the two purlins and rest it on the bottom flange. To install, I push the two locator prongs through the holes in the purlin. Take note as the locator clicks into place to indicate that you have captured the purlin. This click is an indicator to let you know that the connection is secure. If you don't hear a click, you may need to remove the bridging and try again. You'll notice that now I can push the purlin, pull it towards me, twist it, or more correctly take any twist out of the purlin. Next, I'll pick up the bolted end of the bridging and pop a couple of fascia bolts through the fascia to hold the bridging in place. You'll need a spanner or a socket wrench to fully tighten up the nuts. In the middle of this fascia bridging, we have the slotted channel that I can adjust. However, I'll leave it for the time being and adjust it last. For now, I'll grab a piece of intermediate bridging and move on to the next bay. Next, I have a piece of intermediate bridging. Again, remember that the locator prongs always point in the direction of installation. So in this roof, it's up the slope. Now, just like we did before, I'll reach out with the bridging and slot the locator through the holes in the next purlin. You'll hear it click into place. The purlin is now captured. Next, I'll swing the bridging around, and if we look at the purlin on this side, you'll notice two locator prongs from the preceding bridging. The lock on the intermediate bridge will go over these two prongs and you should hear it click in place. The bridging is now secured. You can see how fast and easy it is to use our bridging system. I can now continue moving from bay to bay installing the intermediate bridging until I get to the ridge. And that's what we'll look at next. The ridge bridging is the last piece to go in and it looks like this. You can see we have two ridge purlins here and down there we've run a row of intermediate bridging starting from the fascia, and we've done the same thing on the other side. Now it doesn't matter if you've done one side of the roof left-handed and the other side right-handed, because our piece of ridge bridging will simply rotate around to match up. You'll see at the ridge that we have two locators on both sides. And therefore, the ridge bridging has locks on both ends. We simply take the bridging and snap it into place. There and there. The bridging is now secured and locked in place. I'm going to adjust the ridge bridging, and at this time it's very useful to have someone on the ground helping you out. We either open the turnbuckles to push the ridge purlins apart, or close the turnbuckle to pull them closer together. You can use a tape measure to adjust the purlins, but it's actually a lot easier to have someone at ground level eyeballing the purlins and directing you to bring the purlins closer together or further apart until they're both parallel. Once you've adjusted the ridge, we now return back to where we started at the fascia. I'm now back at the fascia bridging that I installed earlier in the beginning. All the purlins on the roof are pulled up nice and tight after we've adjusted the turnbuckle at the ridge bridging. The purlins should all be nice and straight now. Now I can adjust the slotted channel and fascia bracket. Firstly, I can pull or push the bracket in and out, and secondly, twist the bracket to get the fascia straight. When I'm happy, I can tighten all the bolts to lock it securely into place. I then go across to the other side of the building and repeat the adjustment on the other fascia. That's it. That row of bridging is now installed, and I can move on to the next. We call that the up the slope or up the roof method of installing bridging. In part 3 of our video series, I'll demonstrate the down the slope method, where we begin at the ridge and work our way down to the fascia.